Stay the fuck away, stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away, stay the fuck away. Hello. Sean Patrick here in the Alex Trebek Memorial COVID Entertainment Complex, which is really just a pergola loosely covered in tarps with a clear shower curtain liner across the middle so I can have a guest occasionally. Now, before we get to the trash of the last while, let's talk about something that might actually matter, like urges. Urges. We have all kinds of urges all the time, but it's important to not always act on them. For example, when I go for a driveway visit with my sister and her kids, I have urges to hug them, but I don't because it would be stupid. They know I love them, and they know they will be hugged by me again in the future, but for now they'll just have to deal with their mother's inferior hugs. But then there are far more harmful urges, like politicians urging independent medical groups to approve medicines. There's a reason that those organizations are non-political and independent. It's because the vast majority of politicians are neither doctors nor research scientists. They don't know what is or isn't medically safe, and politics cannot play any part in that determination. PHAC has to study all available information to make that decision, and that takes time. It's not like the analysts finish up on Tuesday and then go curling for the rest of the week before issuing their decision. It's incredibly inappropriate and irresponsible for any politician to urge any regulatory body to approve anything at all, but especially when they haven't finished the research. And in a similar situation, parents need to stop urging the schools to fully open, especially while, at the very same time, saying that the schools aren't safe. I know you want your free daycare back, but you have to be reasonable. Much like the long-term care system, the education system has been gutted by spending our tax dollars on things like paying ex-governors general $350,000 a year to not be the governor general. Due to the insanely pathetic educational system funding, we jam the children into small classrooms lacking in basic things like air circulation. And while it isn't likely that your child gets sick enough to die, it's far more likely than it used to be. Then you get stuck at home with a sick kid, putting your entire family at risk. All because you sent them to a petri dish. And what about the teachers? Is it okay to expect them to take the risk? No, it isn't. Even though this situation is extremely stressing to all of our mental and social health, the best thing we can do for our children and each other is to be calm, honest, and make things as safe as possible. What we should be doing already anyway. It is incredibly selfish to put the children and staff in this situation. Pardon me. Now, something I noticed recently that is a sign of a much deeper issue is how much people make fun of each other based on their looks. We've all made a funny face when someone snaps a picture, and it was done for a laugh. Sometimes a candid photo is taken when you're yawning, or one eye is closed, or you're Roger Stone. And again, we all get a chuckle out of that because it's silly. But if you're going to poke fun at someone, it makes a lot more sense to do it because of their actions. I could say things like Rosemary Barton's hairdresser is clearly a paraplegic goldfish, or Premiers Kenny and Ford look like date rapists that somehow ended up in the back seat together and are now trying to decide whether to kick each other's ass or... And speaking of anal sex, Julie Payette. Now, while we can all agree that those are well-crafted jokes, that stuff is just plain mean-spirited. I'd much rather kick Rosemary because she's CBC's senior political correspondent, but she can't tell a federal jurisdiction's ass from a provincial hole in the ground. Premier Kenny spent billions of taxpayers' dollars on lube, and what he got is full of sand. I can't wait for Premier Ford to announce that, in an attempt to make up for dropping the ball on long-term care and to not let their sacrifices go to waste, he's going to feed the homeless with Soylent Green. It's old people. And speaking of waste, Julie Payette. Again, well-crafted jokes, but this time it was about their actions and how badly they do their jobs. The ease with which we jump on each other for our appearance is the exact thing that will make it impossible to end prejudice and racism. Until we truly respect each other as human beings and view things like physical traits as fashion accessories instead of excuses for hate, we just don't have a chance. While people were busy being outraged by racist images in children's books written by a Nazi and the degendering of root vegetables, there was another media onslaught occurring. Now, I couldn't give a toss about royal affairs, but Sandy is very into all things majestic, and he wants me to talk about the latest hot goss. So I made a deal with him. If he can answer one royal question correctly, I'll read what he's written. If not, I'll just do what I want. Ready, Sandy? All right. So if Meghan and Harry have given up their titles and stopped being working royals, ooh, that is hard on the wrist. Why does everyone keep referring to them as prince and princess? Yeah, that's what I thought. Right. So while I consider religion as about as important as royal issues, the mainstream media spent far more time discussing the teasers for the then upcoming Royal Oprah interview than they did on the Pope's trip to Iraq. Unlike the interview, the Pope was not only in a position to effect real social change on the first ever papal visit to Iraq, he was also in serious danger. And much like my respect for the Queen being a piece of history and not for her official role, the Pope is also by himself historic. Never mind the fact that what he was trying to do was attempting to encourage peace, not tabloids. It's very sad when a family's lack of ability to deal with its own internal issues overtakes everything else going on in everyone else's lives. Now, I haven't watched the Oprah interview, nor did I watch the one Harry did with the least funny British person in America, but the amount of media coverage of these events means that I've been privy to a lot of the allegations. Racism in the royal family? Well, say it ain't so. Do you really think Prince Philip would stand for that kind of behavior without joining in? Now, while I agree that the repeated media coverage of the same 5 minutes of interview footage makes Meghan's time in the palace sound like something no human should ever have to endure, the Pope was praying in bombed out churches and publicly denouncing the connection between religion and violence. And he has a way better hat. Now, finally, yesterday was International Women's Day. And even though nobody could explain to me exactly what an international woman is, you go, girl. All right, kids. Wear a mask, stay the fuck away from each other, and wash everything. A lot. Bloody hell! Look, you lost! I won fair and square, Sandy. Jesus. You wouldn't do this if I was the Duchess. Ugh. Not in the face!